Do I look presentable? No, I'm being told to do a video, a live stream. I don't even know why. I don't even really know why, folks. There's the palm of my hand again. I don't know why. So, let's see what happens. Let's see if, because I'm going earlier than I normally do, if anybody shows up. I'm being told to do this, and I keep saying nobody's watching. Nobody's being notified, nobody's being alerted, and nobody's watching. I don't even have anything to do a video on. So I'm going to wait and see what happens here. I don't know. So maybe I'll just start rambling on about shit. Let's see. I don't even know what to talk about, folks. Let's just see what happens here. But, you know, we seeing all this stuff going on in DC, all this stuff. They just keep pushing the same old narratives. But they never have any fixes. They never fix anything, folks. Come on. Obama swore up and down Obamacare was going to fix the health industry, the healthcare industry. Didn't fix nothing. None of the government offices fix anything. They create problems so that you look at them and say, please, our almighty government, please protect and save us from ourselves. Please protect and serve us from ourselves. That's what we ask the government to do. Instead of us being men and women, standing up for our own families, our children, we are the only species on Earth that are not to protect their babies. A female bear will take on anything. Anything. Even knowing that the attack has already hurt her so bad, she's probably not going to survive, but she will stand back up and bear into it again. Right outside my porch. My porch, I have a rocker bench that my dad made several years ago and gave to me. I mean, he was legally blind when he made it. It's sitting on my front porch. I'm sitting there. I go out every morning. It's one of the first things I do. I take my dog out, or it's my daughter's dog. She thinks. But it is her dog. I would not take that dog from her, but that dog spends more time with me than anybody. But it is my daughter's dog. But we go out. That's the first thing we do. When I get up in the morning, I don't drink coffee or any kind of caffeine whatsoever. I basically drink what we used to call Kool-Aid. Is all I drink anymore, and it's flavored water. It's not the Kool-Aid because the Kool-Aid, good night, they pump so much sugar into this stuff. It's that liquid you mix with water to give it some flavor. That's what I drink, and that's either that or straight up water. Every now and then I keep a 16 ounce or 20 ounce Coca-Cola in my refrigerator, and I take a couple drinks off of that because Coca-Cola is an old friend of mine. I got many old friends. It's hard for me to let that one go. But I don't know what it is about the damn thing. Probably it's got cocaine in it, just like it originally started, you know. I don't know. It was just like, well, today it's something just, it's a different texture in my mouth other than just flavored water, I guess. Hell, I could probably soda water up my Kool-Aid and it'd be the same thing, you know. Put a little carbonation behind it. But folks, I don't even know where I was going with that. It doesn't matter. The title says. The title is what it is. People, I've said a lot of things about Boardman Township in many videos over the last 2.5 years. Generalization going on when I said this stuff. But the things that have happened to me since I moved in to this township have all been bullshit. All of them, folks. All of it. From the minute the damn zoning department convinced my landlord to violate my rights and force or use my landlord to force their way into my house. That was within weeks of me moving into this township. I wasn't given any choice. My landlord called me and said there's an inspection that has to happen on the house, and because he has signed a contract with Boardman Township zoning department, they can come in my house anytime they want, and if I don't want them in there, then they'll come in when I'm not there. This is the way it was explained to me by my landlord, that he would let them in without me there, but he would rather me be there. And I'm like, man, this is the law. What the hell is going on? So I videotaped it. I videotaped it me telling these people when that zoning department come through my front door, I told him, you are doing this against my will. And my landlord was going to do it whether I was there or not. That pissed me off. Totally. I went down next day to this Boardman Township zoning department office. And guess what, folks? It's the Boardman Township Police Department building. They're in the same building. You walk through the same front door. You go to the left to the zoning department. You go to the right to the police department, if they let you in either door. And in the last 2 years that I've been here, about 90% of the time you don't get let in either door because of you know what. This township, county, government, police department, sheriff's department, state troopers, all of them jumped on the mask mandate bandwagon a year and a half ago. Me, first time they started demanding this stuff, I was like, what the, where's the, what, is the Constitution in place? Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Well, I start calling all these offices, Sheriff's Department, Boardman Township Police Department, Lieutenant General of the Ohio, or Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, the Governor of Ohio, in Ohio. I called them all, the Health Department of Ohio. I called them all. I tried to find out what those of us that the governor put an exemption in the mask mandate, how we were going to, what we were going to use, how we were going to, what we were going to show that we fall under that exemption. Now, Governor, out of his mind to whine, he put this medical exemption into the mandate in order to make everybody believe he has morals. And he put it in his mandate, his governor's demandments instead of commandments. They're demandments that the governor of, out of my mind, DeWine, thinks he had the right to put in place. And Sheriff Green of Mahoney County, the police chief of Boardman Township, Ohio, the captain, the lieutenants, the deputy chief, all these guys, all of them, I've talked to all of them, and most of them lied to me, either in emails, on the phone, or face to face. From the lieutenant up, all of them lied to me. Now, this wasn't but about 6 months later. After, I'm telling you what, the day I moved in to this house, the violations of the zoning department against people went after I found. I swore I thought I knew, but because when you're in a different city in a different county, you don't know what the laws are. I warrant before they came to my house, and my landlord assured me he would let them in, whether they had a warrant or not. So I had to deal with it before I could get in and find out what the law was. And then when I went to the zoning department and I found out what the law was, and it stated that without my permission, they needed a court warrant, a warrant from the courts to come in my house. And my landlord allowed them to violate my rights. They allowed the zoning department to violate my rights. And they came in my house anyway. 6 months later, I'm video recording cops pulling in. There's 3 boys that live 2 doors down from my house. That the day I moved in, these 3 boys, when we had a truck here with stuff in it, they came down, offered to help us carry our stuff in, and I had a lot of garage stuff. And they helped me carry all my stuff out of this. And I was in bad shape at that time. Not like I am now. And they helped me do it, and I appreciate it. And one boy offered, if you need somebody to cut your grass, man, just holler, I'll do it. And we let him do it a few times. Didn't have the money to keep paying him, so I couldn't let him keep doing it. All of a sudden one day, me and my son sitting out on the porch, on my front porch. And these cops pull in 2 doors down. There's just one of them at first. Then there's another. Then there's another. They also have one of these boys that helped me move my stuff into my house. Hey, I see you out there. I can't read this stuff. My eyes are bad, so. But I've seen that. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you guys showing up. This is 6 months later, and these cops are pulling up, and they're putting on gloves. And they do this for me, too. When they go to arrest me, they put on gloves because it might be a fight. Now, this is a 12-year-old boy. When me and my son, because my porch, I have bushes around one side of it, which faces that way. I can't really see what's going on down there in the summertime. During the winter, I can. But I couldn't see what was going on until I started seeing all the cops pull up. Me and my son, my 36-year-old son, sitting on the porch talking with my dog out there. Or no, my dog wasn't even out there. Guarantee it. They would have had to shoot her. They came, I was watching them, and all of a sudden, man, these guys was there for a 12-year-old boy that is sitting in my video, you can see, he's sitting on the ground. He ain't threatening anybody. He's just sitting on the ground doing what boys do. And these guys are gloving up. I told my son, man, I'm getting my phone. I'm going to start recording this shit. I don't know what the hell's going on. These boys, I don't know what they could have done. And you can watch this on my video, or on my channel, folks. I got videos of it, but you're going to have to go back a long ways, 2 years. But you'll see it. Mormon Township pigs are out of control. That's the name of it. But I told my son, I said, I jumped up. My son's an ex-Marine from the Iraq War. He's a disabled combat vet. Not that he's in a wheelchair like some of these guys. Not that he has no arms like some of these guys, but he was hurt, whatever. He's a disabled combat vet. He stands a lot bigger than me. You can rest assured of that. He stands a lot bigger than me. He towers over me. But me and him sitting on the porch, I grab my phone, I start recording these guys. 2 doors away on my own property. All of a sudden, and I was videotaping them for a little bit. That one of the women in the neighborhood come walking from the street or from down the street coming up and started yelling something at me, and I told her I ain't videotaping nobody but the pigs. I ain't worried about the kids. I ain't worried about you. I ain't worried about nobody else. I'm videotaping what the pigs are doing. That's the word I used in my video. Now, something happened. I don't know what was going on, but about that, this time, all the cops started getting up. The kid that was sitting on the ground stood up, and they all started walking towards his backyard, 2 doors down from me. I'm still in my yard. And so I'm video recording them. They're walking to the back, so I start walking down my driveway to the back, still on my property, running my own video recorder. And I walked past my neighbor's house and right to the backyard, and I could see straight into the backyard where the cops are and shit. What they're doing with the boys. And I'm still recording. Now, as I'm walking down my driveway, one of these ambulance drivers pulls in. It's a woman driving the ambulance. You can hear it in the video. She pulls up like she has some kind of authority over me. A man thinks she has some kind of authority over me. This dumbass woman driving an ambulance. So she starts screaming at me, sir, you can hear her in the video. Sir, stop recording, just stop doing it. And I look at her, I listen to it and listen to it and listen to it. And I walk to my backyard. I'm standing in my driveway videotaping the cops 2 doors down with those boys. And I finally look at this woman. I'm standing there videotaping, not even her direction, recording the cops. And I get so tired of it, I finally look at this woman and look at her and yell, fuck you. Fuck you. I'm in my own yard. Well, that's what the board like. Mike Manis decided it was his job at that point to come illegally onto my property. Him and 3 other officers, and tried to intimidate me to get me to stop recording what they were doing. The ambulance driver is a public servant when she's got a contract with the government to pick up this stuff. She can be recorded at any time doing her job. Whether it's a private job, a private company that owns the ambulances, as soon as they sign a government contract, they become a government agency. They are a government servant. I can record them and everything they do in public, and especially from my own damn property. I was on my own property, folks. Do you hear what I'm saying? Now, 4 officers, Boardman Township, Ohio, officers. And I told Mike Manis not to come on my property when he was standing illegally on my neighbor's property. He had no permission to be on my neighbor's driveway, which is right next to mine. There is not an inch between my neighbor's driveway and my driveway. He didn't have permission to be on my driveway, and he damn sure didn't have permission to be that Mike Manis was standing on, or when I was talking to him. Okay, and I looked at her and I gave her the thumbs up, told her it was good, don't worry about it, or she would have ran him off her property. Now, this guy at that time did not give a shit about that woman's rights, my neighbor's rights. He did not give a shit about my rights. Him and 3 other officers in the video come on my property and try to intimidate me. They didn't have a clue at who the hell they were dealing with. And it's been over a year and a half of shit going on in court and me fighting them. 6 months on court cases right now. And they're getting ready to lose their asses on the And these 4 officers stood up, or these 4 Boardman Township officers stood on my property when I'm telling them to get the fuck off my property. They have no reason to be there. I didn't call them. They were called to service 2 doors down from my house. And because I was doing a First Amendment protected activity recording them, they didn't like it. And they tried to intimidate me, and it did not work. And these boys, men, know me now and know that intimidation will not work on me. I don't care if there's 100 of you. It will only be the law. And if I am held by the law, you are held by the law. And people, I only get, I get going because I got that Holy Spirit in me. And when those bad things are happening and I'm talking about it, I get going because I want to tell you something. Today, I'm taken more seriously than I was before. I guarantee you, there ain't a Boardman Township Police Department officer that will come on my property without a warrant or without asking me permission. First and foremost, you can rest assured on that. We used to have them parking all the time on my side of town. Here. My neighbor, garages and everything broken in left and right. See, I don't only protect my property because I love the people around me. I protect theirs. Jesus protects them through me. It's not me, folks. Now, of course, my weapons, my attitude, I don't take no bullshit. I ask somebody, if you're on my neighbor's if I don't know you and you're on my neighbor's property, you can damn sure bet I'm gonna ask you who the hell you are and do you have the right to be there? And my neighbors love me for it. Now, before I moved to where I'm at right now, my neighbors used to come over. I'd set up tables out my garage. I had a 1-car garage off my house. And in my neighborhood, everybody knew who I was. It would come back to a cul-de-sac on the street I lived on. You didn't come down my street cutting through. Let's just put it like that. And everybody around me, the streets around, man, I'd be sitting out. I'd get out some tables and I'd set them out in front of my garage. And I'd start bringing out my guns and laying them out. And I'd start going through them and clean them every month. Clean them all every month. Guaranteed. Whether I was shooting them or not. And I'd have them laid out. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, AR-15s, whatever, I had them all laid out there. And people started noticing, and they'd come by and, oh, man, what the hell is that? Can I hold it? And I'd let them hold them and stuff. Handle them. See what they are. Talk to them about it. In Indiana, where I live, these people want me there. These people put my phone number on before 911. Because I told them, don't waste your time calling the cops. If you think something's happening, call me first. I'll come up and around behind. They won't know I'm coming. We'll deal with it without any bright lights, sirens, and all this shit. Quietly. And then when the cops show up, we'll let them clean the mess up. Over the 911 ever. People, that's what this is all about. I didn't even know what this was going to end up being about. That's why I said, let's see what happens. I'm telling you right now, this is about community. Some of you people grew up in the neighborhoods you live in. You've been there your whole lives. You didn't go nowhere. I know people like you. In the town that I grew up in, they never left that town. Ever. They're still living in the house they grew up in because their mom and dad died and they inherited it. It was bought and paid for, so they moved and left the town they grew up in. Me, from an early age, and my parents, military family, my dad, his wartime stuff, and that was before I was born. But my dad loved to travel, and my mom loved to travel too. And they got together and we traveled all my life before I was even left home. We had motor homes and campers that we pulled behind our cars. If we didn't have none of that, we stayed in motels. And every year, my mom and dad, my dad was a union painter when I was growing up. There was only one man over him, and that was the owner of the company. But my dad was a union supervisor over a large group of people, and he did not just sit in an office. He did not. He refused to do that. He went out on the jobs and worked with them. If he was there on a job, he worked right with those guys every day or during that day. Next day, he might be on a different job, and he worked with that crew. But they did they did Standard Oil, Fina, and Sunoco gas stations, and he made good money. My mom worked for Bryan Air Conditioning, made good money in Indianapolis. Money today, I don't even make. 60 years later, I'm not even making what my mom made 60 years ago. And that's sad. Because right now, this Uber Eats shit I'm running, if you count all the hours that I have that app on and the runs I do, I'm lucky to make minimum wage. From 1970s. And if you count the wear and tear on my car, fuel, the repairs, people, I bought it because they took my CDL driver's license away from me almost 4 years ago. In 2016, they took my CDL away from me. I could no longer drive a truck. Me and my wife bought it in 17. And I started running Uber and Lyft. That car is catching up real. My Jeep is 21 years old and has 180,000 miles on it. 21 years old. My new car is a 2017, has 130,000 miles on it because I've run Uber and Lyft using this new car. Now, if I go back since the time I bought this car and I added the price of the car, because we'd take off a little bit because of our everyday running and running. My wife works less than 3 miles from our house. We run down to Alabama several times, Indiana, and back over here several times. But for the majority of it, it was all these miles were Uber and Lyft. While this car was new, within 6 months running Uber, somebody got my back seat, pulled the knife out, and cut up my back seat. Just because I was using a new car to give them a ride to and from wherever they were going. They hated it. I can show you right now the cut up seats in the back of my brain. I couldn't. New seat in the back. Another guy threw a beer bottle at my car because I pulled up to pick him up from a bar, and two of his buddies, one of them had puked from his neck all the way down to his shoes. The other one was still puking. And I pulled up. He's standing there drinking in front of about 30 people drinking a beer and a bottle of beer, probably Budweiser or something. I pulled up and I asked him, hey, anybody looking for that Uber ride? And he said, yeah, that's me. And he starts yelling at these two clowns. I've got a brand new car. One of them's covered from neck to his feet in puke. The other one's still puking. He's yelling at him, come on, the ride's here. I said, buddy, them two ain't getting in my car. He said, oh, yeah, they are. Oh, no, they're not. And I pulled it into drive, and I started to pull away. He busted his damn 16-ounce fucking Budweiser beer bottle up against it and put a dent inside of my damn car. I called the police. I had 30-some eyewitnesses. I even had to follow them down the street because I refused to give them a ride, so they called real quick. So they walked down the street. I followed them until the cops found them. Told the cops what happened. They did nothing. I asked for a police report the next morning. No names. No witnesses. Still have the dent in my car. Still have the cut up back seats. Had some clown. This thing wasn't for all the way up on the dash. And the rest of the riders got pissed because I threw them all out the minute it fucking happened. And I charged them $300 to have my car cleaned. But I threw them all out. People. They're bragging on commercials that I'm seeing on TV, with a little bit of TV I watch. They're bragging on commercials out at this date in some year, however many years back, that they gave men the right to marry men. The Supreme Court and the women the right to marry women. The Supreme Court of the United States, of the democracy of America, claims that the Constitution allows for homosexual people to be married. If that don't show you the Constitution is not in play, where in the Constitution? Supreme, and this has happened. What state was that? It was the Supreme Court of that state, not of the country. That said, or no, it was of the country. The Supreme Court of the country, and they demand that all states allow it. People, the law of the land is God's law. The Constitution was put into place to protect God's law. The Constitution is not law. The Constitution is the chains that bounds the hands of the government and keeps them from crossing those laws, God's laws. That's why the First Amendment has 5 or 6 protections in it. That's why the second one allows you everything you need to protect the first one. And I've heard people have been in prison and shit, and they've even said they were gang members, they were in gangs, or they were in the mafia or whatever. Even the gangs of criminals, even the mafias that were criminals, had more. I guess you would say. For what they believe, what they want. Government means control of the mind. In the democracy of this great democracy of America. Democracy. Do you people not understand where the word republic, it starts with an R. Doesn't even look like a D. The next letter is an E. And those 2 letters look exactly alike in democracy and republic. But the very next letters again throw you for a loop. They don't match up. If you think a democracy, majority rule, how easy would that be to control people? You just start paying the people some money, like welfare, food stamps, unemployment, disability, free phones, Obamacare, all this shit. Just start paying them that shit. Then when they don't want to vote or back you, you just tell them you're going to cut it off. They're not going to let you cut off their free shit. There ain't a Marine that hadn't kept his oath that collects a disability check from the Marines that will give up that money. There ain't a woman that has 3 or 4 babies and her husband is sitting in jail because of the government that's collecting food stamps, welfare, all this shit, and getting a child credit at the end of the year that usually amounts up to 3 or 4 kids, $10,000 or more. Think you're gonna get these people not to vote for you? You'd have to point a gun at their head not to get that free money. Free money. You guys all think it's free. You that collected your welfare checks, your food stamps, your child credit, tax credits, your Obama phones, your Obamacare, all that free shit. You think it's free. And it is. Because they took all of your real freedoms away from you. You just don't know it. People, the government is a joke. Donald Trump was a joke. Ronald Reagan was a joke. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, they're all a bunch of jokes. People, if these people, for even a second, are steel industry in the Northeast booming. Coal mining industry out west would still be booming. The oil industry would still be. If these people really wanted a country that was about God, right, truth, liberty, justice, nobody could have stopped the Republic. The only people that could were the people you elected. The people you put in charge. And it's done now, folks. You ain't willing to fight for your own land. You ain't willing to fight for your community. You ain't willing to fight for your neighborhood. You are not willing to fight. You're not willing to fight for your parents. You're not willing to fight for nobody. All you're willing to do is drop to your knees and ask how wide I need to open it. And that's what you're doing today. I'm done for tonight. But all of you, make no mistake. God loves all of you. And so do I. And I'm going to keep preaching. And I'm going to keep telling you. There ain't been an oath keeper or oath taker that ever kept his oath. There ain't an officer, a law enforcement officer, that won't follow orders. And I'm going to prove it in my trial. I'm going to prove it. That's why I have people coming and summons. Because if they tell the truth, won't have to do nothing else. If they don't, then I'll have to prove that. But they're getting ready to find out this week who they are, if they don't already know. But like I said, the people I got coming in will be all I need. All they think they need is those patrol officer, Steve Dumas. Then once I'm done with you, Steve, I'm done with you. And this damn township, your authority will not exist in my eyes. I don't give a shit if you got captain bars or even sitting in that damn police chief office. When I get done with you in this courtroom on the 29th, you won't have no authority over me, boy, ever again. Remember that. Everybody else, may God bless us all. It's the only way out of this. Make no mistake. There's only one door, and that's Jesus Christ. If you're not willing to walk up and knock on that door and walk through it, if he answers it, that's on you. I would rather you guys all knock on it, and when he answers, walk through. Get in the basement, folks. That's what I'm asking you. Get in the basement. Till next time, I'm gone.